From the time she could walk, Erica Lane noticed things most people didn't. The subtle flutter of a deer's ear, 200 yards away, the shimmer and heat rising off distant hills, the way wind shifted tree branches like clockwork. Born in the rugged valleys of western Montana, she didn't grow up with dolls or distractions. She grew up with rifles, rivers, and responsibility. Her father, Daniel Lane, a retired Marine Scout sniper who served 2 tours in Iraq, recognized the rare gift early. "She's got sniper eyes," he said when she was 8, after watching her drop a pinacone from 70 feet with a homemade slingshot by 12. She was tagging empty cans from the edge of their 50-acre ranch with her dad's .22, adjusting for breeze and drop without even knowing the words ballistics or windage. Erica didn't just shoot. She calculated, adjusted, and breathed like a professional. It was as if the scope, the target, and her heartbeat spoke a secret language no one else understood. But Erica wasn't just a prodigy in precision. She was quiet, focused, different. She didn't fit in at school, where most girls talked about celebrities and dances. Erica talked about muzzle velocity and reticle lines. Kids thought she was strange. Teachers called her distant. Only her father saw the fire. By 16, Erica had outshot every local hunter in the county. Her proudest moment? A 980-yard shot during a regional marksmanship competition where even grown men missed the paper entirely. She didn't blink. Her bullet punched clean through the bullseye, and the crowd fell silent. No one had expected it, especially not from a teen girl wearing dusty boots and a camo hoodie. But even then, Erica didn't chase trophies. "I don't want medals," she told her dad. "I want purpose." That purpose arrived during her senior year of high school, when an Army recruiter visited her school. As the others scoffed at the pamphlets, Erica locked eyes with the sergeant and asked one question: "Do you have a program for people who can shoot over a mile?" The recruiter, amused but intrigued, replied, "We've got the Army sniper. School, but that's not for the faint of heart. Or girls, usually." That sentence stayed with her. Not for girls. She applied anyway. At boot camp, she blended in at first, quiet and respectful. But during the rifle qualification week, she shattered expectations. Her instructors thought the scores were misprinted. When she fired a perfect 40/40ths in record time, not only hitting targets, but placing them within 2-inch groupings under pressure. She was immediately flagged for advanced marksmanship training. When she entered sniper school at Fort Benning, Georgia, she stood out for being both female and young. Most others had years of combat under their belts. Erica had none. Whispers followed her. Some soldiers outright doubted she could even lift the heavy M2010 rifle, let alone master it. They learned quickly. Her instructor started calling her Ghost Wolf. Not because she was aggressive, but because she was silent, calculated, and always watching. She moved through forests like mist, hid in plain sight, and never missed a shot. But being the best didn't mean being accepted. At night, she heard whispers, doubts about her place, jokes about affirmative action, pranks left on her bunk. She didn't flinch. Instead, she woke earlier, trained harder, and let her bullets speak. During a live training exercise designed to simulate real combat under stress, Erica was the only student to hit all targets, including 2 moving vehicles at extreme range. She didn't celebrate. She didn't gloat. She simply cleaned her rifle, checked her data log, and asked, "When's the next scenario?" By the time she graduated, even the most skeptical soldiers were silent. Erica had broken records without ever raising her voice. She wasn't flashy, didn't crave attention. She only craved the next challenge. The military had noticed. Within months, she was handpicked by a special reconnaissance and sniper detachment attached to a top-tier special forces unit. It was rare, almost unheard of for someone so new. To be trusted with live missions of such magnitude. But Erica wasn't just anyone. Her shot groupings, wind call accuracy, and ability to read terrain were rated at Tier 1 levels. She was given advanced gear, a modified bolt-action rifle customized for extreme range and access to experimental optics. Her call sign? Whisper 3, fitting for someone whose kills arrived before the sound of the gunshot. Erica was no longer the girl they whispered about. Now, she was the one every operator wanted watching their six. But beneath the growing reputation and respect, she remained the same quiet girl from Montana. She called her father when she could, kept her medals in a shoebox, and journaled every mission, not to boast, but to learn. "I'm not here to be famous," she once said to her team. "I'm here because I believe every shot matters." No one knew then how prophetic those words would become, because soon, in the high mountains of northern Afghanistan, she'd face a shot so far, so unreal, even the most seasoned commanders would call it impossible. But Erica Lane didn't believe in impossible. The road from elite sniper to commander was never smooth, not for anyone. But for Erica Lane, the path was steeper, colder, and full of doubters. Though she had graduated sniper school with top scores and earned a place among the most capable teams in the Army, respect wasn't guaranteed. In combat, skill earned survival. But in camp, politics and tradition often meant more. At Forward Operating Base Valor in Afghanistan, Erica was assigned to Task Force Raven, a specialized unit designed for deep recon, intelligence capture, and surgical strikes. The team was hardened, veterans who had seen the worst and walked back alive. Erica was new, female, and in their eyes, untested. She arrived with her gear packed perfectly, her eyes scanning everyone and everything. No swagger, no small talk, just silence and observation. "Who's the girl?" one of the operators whispered when she entered the staging tent. "Sniper," replied the team sergeant, "the new Ghost Wolf." Some laughed. Others didn't. Her first mission was low risk, overwatch on a supply convoy passing through a known smuggling corridor. She and her spotter, SGT Lucas Cole, positioned themselves on a ridgeline at dawn. Erica scanned for patterns. Disturbed brush, unnatural shapes, glints of metal. She noticed a small shimmer behind a ridge. Just a reflection, barely noticeable. She didn't hesitate. "Vehicle," she whispered. "Hostile. Looks like they're setting up an RPG." The convoy was rerouted in minutes. A drone confirmed. Her call, 3 armed men and an RPG launcher. A single decision prevented a potential massacre. Her teammates stopped laughing. Over the next few weeks, mission after mission, Erica proved herself without a word. She tracked enemy movement through mirages, shot out tires from impossible distances to disable fleeing vehicles, and once neutralized 2 rooftop snipers while the rest of her team was still figuring out their positions. But what made her terrifying wasn't just her aim, it was her calm. She didn't panic under fire. When chaos erupted, Erica was stone. She breathed in rhythm, whispered precise data to Cole, and fired without second-guessing. Every bullet counted. Every movement was deliberate. She was part of the rifle, an extension of steel, glass, and will. Still, it wasn't enough. When the team captain was injured during a night raid, the leadership temporarily shifted. Protocol dictated that Erica, by merit and seniority, should assume command of sniper ops. But instead of recognition, she was met with resistance. "Look," one of the senior operators said, "she's good, yeah, real good. But command? She's not one of us." One of us. That phrase echoed louder than bullets. Erica heard it, but didn't fight it. She didn't argue, file complaints, or demand position. She did the same thing she always did. Showed up, stayed sharp, and executed. With precision, but leadership noticed. Her efficiency was impossible to ignore. One night, High Command sent down a special directive. Erica was to lead the next high-value recon op. A new warlord had emerged in the region, one responsible for coordinating several deadly ambushes, moving weapons across the Pakistani border, and funding extremist cells. Intelligence had located him inside a fortified compound high in the Hindu Kush Mountains. Too far for drones. Too risky for direct assault. It would require a small sniper team, deep insertion, high altitude, no support. Just eyes, patience, and perfect aim. She was handpicked. The announcement was made in the ops tent. Some heads turned. Others stared. Erica kept her gaze forward. Cole gave her a quiet nod. No congratulations, no cheers. Just the weight of the assignment. That night, she studied maps for hours, memorizing terrain, wind channels, and fallback routes. The compound sat atop a ridge at 11,000 feet, surrounded by jagged rock faces and steep valleys. The weather? Brutal. Air thin. Visibility inconsistent. The nearest exfil point? Over 15 miles away by foot, through potential enemy territory. She wasn't scared. She was focused. "This is a one-shot mission," she said to Cole. "We get one chance." They moved out before sunrise 3 days later, hiking with full packs through snow and shale, avoiding patrols and listening to distant artillery like thunder. After 2 days of climbing, crawling, and camping in freezing rock beds, they reached the position, a narrow plateau with just enough elevation to see the compound. Through her scope, Erica spotted the target, a tall man surrounded by guards. Always protected, always moving. She started running calculations immediately. Distance, 3,560 meters. Wind, cross-sweeping at 14 knots. Humidity, low. Elevation drop, significant. Bullet time to target, over 7 seconds. Cole stared. "This is insane." "Yeah," she whispered, adjusting her scope. "But not impossible." She didn't fire. Not yet. The shot had to be clean, timed, and perfectly executed. One mistake, a wind gust, a flinch, a miscalculation, and it would all fall apart. Not so. She waited for hours, lying motionless in bitter cold, cheek pressed to frozen steel. The world faded around her. No hunger, no pain, just breathing, numbers, angles. Cole watched her like a machine assembling itself for a single task. The sniper wasn't Erica anymore. It was something greater, will fused with purpose. Back. At base, her commander watched the satellite feed, shaking his head. "If she hits that," he mumbled, "I'll eat my boots." Because no one believed it could be done, except Erica, and that belief was about to shake the world. Erica had made difficult shots before, but this one didn't just test her. It defied logic. No official record existed of a woman ever making a confirmed shot at this distance. Few men had even attempted it. The math was daunting. The pressure? Crippling for most. But for Erica, this was the exact moment her whole life had prepared her for. She lay prone on a narrow rock shelf overlooking the enemy compound. Wind whipped across the cliffside like icy razors. The world was quiet, except for the occasional snap of wind against canvas and the sound of her slow, steady breathing. She and Cole had been in position for over 18 hours in those long, still hours. She hadn't flinched. Her eye was fixed to the scope, her hands locked in place, her brain calculating and recalculating the variables with obsessive focus. Every second brought micro-changes. Wind fluctuations, cloud cover shifts, barometric pressure. All of it mattered. All of it could mean the difference between a shot that hit its mark or went wide by meters. Cole sat beside her, running backup math on a ballistic tablet, double-checking her figures. Even with military software and years of combat experience, he kept glancing at her with a look of awe. "Erica," he whispered, "you know this is damn near science fiction, right?" She didn't respond. Her eye never left the scope. "I'm serious. This is a 3,560-meter shot. That's over 2 miles. Bullet flight time will be over 7 seconds. You'll have to correct for curvature of the Earth, spin drift, thermal. Layering ... Hell, even the sun's angle is working against you." Still, no answer. She was running the numbers again in her head. The bullet, a custom-loaded .408 Chaitak, would drop more than 400 feet by the time it reached the target. The rifle she was using had been hand-tuned for ultra-long-range use. Its barrel was nearly 30 inches long. The scope? A Schmidt and Bender. 5 to 45 by 56, top of the line, with custom turrets and an extended reticle calibrated for extreme shooting. All of it still wouldn't matter if she misjudged a single factor. Then, at precisely 1837 hours, the target emerged. He was taller than expected. Wearing robes and a black tactical vest, he walked confidently across the compound's courtyard. 2 armed guards followed him closely. He paused near the edge of the balcony, scanning the horizon, unaware he was being watched through a scope. From a mountainside nearly 2¼ miles away. "There," Cole whispered. "That's your moment. You good?" Erica didn't move. She gently adjusted the windage knob, made 2 final corrections on elevation, and then whispered what Cole recognized as her final checklist. Wind. 13 knots ... 45-degree cross. 2.6 mil left. Elevation. Hold 38 mils. Humidity. 11%. Pressure. 875 millibars. 0 drift. Slight mirage. Firing solution set. Cole gave a small nod. His mouth was dry. "You really think this is possible?" he asked. "No," she said quietly, "but I believe I can do it." That was enough. She settled behind the rifle. Her fingers wrapped around the grip like it was an extension of her hand. Her shoulder rested into the recoil pad with perfect form. She exhaled, held, slowed her heartbeat to match the breath cycle. She had practiced this 1,000 times, but never like this. Target still. Wind steady. Finger ready. Then, like a whisper, across time, she squeezed. The crack echoed across the mountain range. Like thunder, the bullet left the barrel at over 3,000 feet per second. For the first 2 seconds, it tore through open air, but drag quickly began to pull it downward. Gravity pressed on it hard. The earth spun slightly beneath it. The air temperature and barometric density tried to slow its path. And still, it flew. Erica never took her eye from the glass. 7 seconds. That's how long it would take. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then, on the 7th second, stillness. Through her scope, she watched the target jerk violently backward. His body dropped limp. Guards scattered. Dust kicked up. Shouting erupted. In the compound, Erica didn't flinch. She stayed in position, scope still locked. Cole blinked hard. No freaking way. She adjusted her reticle to scan the chaos. No movement from the target. Spotter feed confirmed impact zone. Thermal signatures showed rapid temperature drop in the chest cavity. Kill confirmed. It had happened. The impossible shot was real. Cole stared at her. You just made the longest kill shot of your generation. She finally leaned back, slowly. No celebration. No grin. Log it, she said, and let's exfil. As they packed, radio chatter flared. The intel analysts had already confirmed. The target was indeed the warlord they were hunting. High value. Tier 1. This was the shot that changed the direction of the campaign. By the time Erica reached the base, command was waiting. Was it luck? One officer asked. No, Cole said before Erica could speak. It was math, discipline, and straight-up genius. Erica removed her helmet. Her hair was damp with sweat, her face pale but calm. I did what I was trained to do, she said quietly. But everyone knew. No one had ever done what she just did. Erica's breathing slowed. The trigger had been pulled. The bullet had flown. The world had changed. But in that moment, right after the shot and before the response, she felt nothing. No adrenaline. No triumph. Just silence. Cold, stiff, and deafening silence. The air was still freezing on that high Afghan ridge. Her cheek was numb from lying on the rifle stock for hours. Her elbows ached. Her spine burned. But none of that mattered. Because through her scope, she watched something almost no sniper ever saw in their lifetime. A 2-mile kill shot land exactly as predicted. The man she had targeted, codenamed Ishmael, had gone completely limp, folding backward over the railing of the compound's balcony like a rag doll. Blood spattered across the wall behind him. His guards immediately ducked for cover, confused. They looked around, trying to trace the source of the shot, but there was nothing. No muzzle flash, no sound, no hint of where death had come from. They didn't know it had come from a ghost. Cole's voice was barely above a whisper, like someone speaking inside a church. I think you just rewrote the laws of physics. Erica didn't answer. She just rolled her stiff shoulders, blinked twice, and locked her rifle bolt open. The brass shell casing from the .408 round still steamed faintly in the snow beside her. I need confirmation, she said calmly. Cole looked at his spotter scope and flipped through thermal and magnified visuals. The compound was in full chaos. Guards were radioing furiously. Drones above the area captured infrared imagery of the body on the balcony. No pulse, no movement, heat signature rapidly fading. He turned to her with a small nod. Confirmed. Target neutralized. She let out a quiet breath. Not relief, not pride. Just a release. The last step in a long, exacting process. Like solving a brutal equation, then setting the pencil down. Still, she knew it wasn't over. Not yet. The mission parameters called for immediate withdrawal after confirmation. They had less than 20 minutes before the enemy could triangulate a possible origin or send out patrols. Erica and Cole broke down the rifle with practiced precision. The custom Chaytak intervention, her lifeline, was disassembled and stowed within 3 minutes. Every shell casing was collected. Every footprint was masked out as they started their descent. The sun dipped below the ridge, casting long shadows across the snow. Their extraction point was 15 kilometers south, across steep, icy terrain. The path was barely marked, and local scouts were known to operate nearby. Worse, Erica was physically drained. Lying motionless for 18 hours at high altitude had strained her body to its limit. They moved silently, side by side, saying little. Cole kept checking rear positions. Erica kept scanning the hills ahead. Halfway through the descent, Cole paused. Do you realize what you just did? Made the shot, she replied without emotion. No, Erica, you didn't just make the shot. You made the shot. Nobody's ever done that, especially not under live conditions. Especially not with a human target. She didn't smile. That's not the part that matters. He looked puzzled. Then what does? That no one else has to die because of him. The warlord they just killed was known for orchestrating civilian bombings and executions. He had funded sleeper cells across the region. And now he was gone. From a distance so great, his own men never heard the gunfire. Back at FOB Valor, the command center erupted. Analysts confirmed the kill using real-time drone feeds. Intelligence officers cross-checked biometric data and facial scans. There was no doubt. Colonel Greaves, the task force commander, stared at the screen for a long time. "Who made the shot?" he asked, already knowing the answer. "Lane," said one of the intel officers. He shook his head in disbelief. "That was a kill at 3,560 meters. No wind cover. Open ridge. I told her it couldn't be done." He stood up and looked out the window at the setting sun. "Guess I was wrong." Hours later, Erica and Cole returned to base under the cover of night. Their gear was soaked, their boots caked in mud and ice. Medics rushed forward to check vitals, but Erica waved them off. She moved straight to the operations tent, where the room fell silent as she entered. Everyone turned. No applause. No salute. Just stunned respect. She placed the rifle case on the table. Target neutralized. Coordinates logged. Photos in the recon drive. Greaves stepped forward. "You understand what you just did, Lane?" "I made the shot, sir." He laughed under his breath. "That's not a shot. That's a chapter in military history." She just nodded. "With respect, sir, I need sleep." He let her go. That night, Erica sat alone on the roof of the barracks, staring up at the stars. Cole joined her with 2 tin cups of hot black coffee. "You should be proud," he said. "I'm tired," she replied. "That shot's going to be talked about for years." She looked at him, her face unreadable. "It shouldn't be about the shot. It should be about the reason." And with that, she sipped her coffee, the same as she always did, calm, quiet, focused, because to Erica Lane, glory was fleeting. But precision, discipline, and duty, those were forever. The next morning, the military base was still buzzing, though no one dared crowd around Erica Lane. Word had spread before sunrise. The shot had been verified by satellite, drone footage, and ground intel. The kill was clean. 1 bullet. 1 target. 1 record broken. Erica didn't speak about it. She simply cleaned her rifle in the armory, as she always did, slow and methodical, brushing carbon from the firing pin, checking for barrel warping, realigning her zero. Around her, younger snipers watched in quiet reverence. It wasn't hero worship. It was something deeper. They had all seen talent. But what Erica had done crossed into legend. The kill shot was already being dissected by military analysts. They reviewed every piece of data. Weather conditions, bullet speed, drop arc, spin drift, impact point. Simulations confirmed what had been initially doubted. The shot wasn't lucky. It was perfect. Down to the MILLIRADI, and satellite footage showed. The target's depth with chilling clarity. 1 second, the warlord was giving orders from his high compound balcony. The next, his chest collapsed inward, his body crumpling backward as if pulled by invisible hands. His guards screamed and scrambled. His lieutenants radioed in confusion. Some even suspected betrayal. But the truth? Death had traveled silently. Across 2 miles, delivered by a woman they didn't even know existed. Back at Forward Operating Base Valor, Erica was summoned to the briefing tent. Colonel Greaves, flanked by intel officers and senior command, stood when she entered. A gesture of respect, rarely shown so openly. "Staff Sergeant Lane," he began, "we've confirmed your shot with high-level clearance. The enemy leader, you neutralized Ismail Qadir, was responsible for over 200 deaths, including civilians and American personnel. That single bullet disrupted an entire insurgent command chain." Erica remained quiet, her expression unreadable. Greaves continued, "The Pentagon has formally recognized this mission as a strategic success of the highest tier. You're being recommended for the Silver Star." She blinked once. "Thank you." "Sir, is that all?" Greaves asked, half-smiling. "Double quotes, yes, sir. The mission's over. I have a rifle to re-zero. The room chuckled nervously. Erica didn't. News of the shot didn't stay contained for long. Within days, leaked reports made their way into classified defense briefings, and eventually to journalists. Military news blogs began hinting at an unnamed female sniper in Afghanistan who had made the longest confirmed kill in U.S. history. The speculation began. Was it real? Could a shot like that even be made? Did they exaggerate the distance? Forums lit up. Some experts analyzed publicly released weather data, terrain maps, and weapon specs to reverse engineer the shot. Others, mostly internet skeptics, claimed it was all fabricated. Military propaganda, they called it. But those who knew, they stayed quiet. Let the world wonder. Erica, meanwhile, avoided the noise. She declined every interview request. She refused media appearances. She didn't post online, didn't seek attention. Her only statements were through action. Back at the shooting range, she trained harder than before, now guiding new recruits through sniper fundamentals. Range, estimation, scope calibration, cold bore shots. One morning, a young sniper trainee asked her, "What's it like, making a shot like that?" She paused, then said quietly, "It's like throwing a paper airplane in a hurricane and landing it on a coin, and knowing if you miss, someone dies." The trainee never forgot that. The impact of her shot went beyond tactics and technology. It pierced through something deeper, belief. Because for decades, combat sniping had been dominated by men. Not by rule, but by culture. Few women had ever made it through sniper school. Even fewer had led sniper teams. And none had done what Erica had just done. Suddenly, barriers felt fragile. Young women in ROTC programs began citing her name. Instructors at West Point used her shot as a case study. Sniper schools across NATO requested breakdowns of the mission for training purposes. Her name wasn't public yet, but within elite circles, she had become myth. And as myths often do, it drew fire. Some critics tried to discredit her. A viral blog post claimed the wind correction was computer-assisted, unfair. Another suggested she'd been lucky, comparing it to winning a lottery. A retired general was quoted saying, "One shot doesn't make a warrior." But others, real operators, fired back. A Marine Scout sniper with 3 tours wrote on record, "I don't care if it was luck, fate, or math from the gods. You don't lie prone for hours at 11,000 feet in freezing wind, calculate spin drift, and pull that trigger without nerves of steel. That's not luck. That's war-made art." Erica never commented on the chatter. Instead, she focused on the one thing she could control: preparation. She returned to simulation drills, studied atmospheric shifts, retrained in urban settings. She understood one shot would never define her. What mattered was consistency, accountability, the next mission. Still, the weight of that bullet followed her. Every base she visited afterward, soldiers would glance at her rifle case with curiosity. New teams lowered their voices when she entered the room. Commanders gave her a little more room to speak. Her reputation didn't precede her. It whispered, quietly, powerfully. And late at night, sitting alone in the barracks with Cole, she finally said what no one expected. "I didn't want the kill. I wanted peace." Cole looked up from his canteen. "You think that shot bought it?" "For some," she said. "For others, it just gave them time." Then she stood, zipped her jacket, and headed for the range, again, because for Erica Lane, it wasn't about being legendary. It was about being ready for whatever came next. By the time the official report was declassified, Erica Lane had already become a name whispered with reverence in every elite military unit. But the moment her name went public, it exploded. News stations plastered her face across their headlines. "American woman sniper makes historic kill." Overnight, she became a household name. Whether she wanted to or not, she was flown back stateside for an official Silver Star ceremony at the Pentagon. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Generals saluted. Politicians lined up for photo ops. But Erica, in her sharp dress blues, stood still, silent, eyes focused somewhere far beyond the marble floors. Behind closed doors, she was offered everything. A book deal, a documentary, a podcast series. Netflix pitched a limited series. A weapons company offered to name a rifle after her dot. She refused them all. I didn't pull the trigger for money, she told her CO. But fame has a gravity of its own. And Erica, despite her efforts to stay grounded, found herself in orbit. Invitations poured in from talk shows and veterans galas. The White House sent an invite. A Hollywood agent even tracked down her parents in Montana. That agent didn't get far. Back on base, Erica tried to return to normal life. Morning PT, gear checks, night drills. But nothing felt normal anymore. Everywhere she went, whispers followed. Some soldiers looked at her with awe, others with envy. And some, especially the older male officers, with quiet skepticism. She's a one-shot wonder. One captain muttered after she declined an award dinner. But they didn't know Erica. She wasn't chasing applause. She was chasing mastery. Night, during an advanced recon exercise in North Carolina, she took her team into the swamp for a 72-hour mission. No sleep, constant movement, simulated insurgent threats. She wanted to test their nerves, and her own dot at 3 a.m. Her spotter Cole found her sitting in ankle-deep water, calibrating her scope by moonlight. You ever think about the shot? He asked. She nodded slowly. Every day? Regret it? No, she said, but I understand its cost now. Cole sat beside her. You mean the attention? She didn't answer, but the truth was eating at her. That one bullet had changed more than history. It had changed her life, her privacy, her ability to simply serve quietly. It had changed how the army looked at her, as an icon instead of a soldier. It changed how others looked at themselves, too. Some of her own team began questioning her decisions. Not out loud, but subtly. Hesitations in the field, second-guessing her commands. One junior sniper even tried to challenge her publicly. During a training briefing, "Ma'am, with all due respect, you're famous for a shot most people call impossible. Are you saying the rest of us should chase miracles too?" Erica didn't flinch. No, she replied. You don't chase miracles. You prepare so relentlessly that when the moment comes, you're the one person who doesn't flinch. The shot wasn't a miracle. It was math, muscle, and mindset. The miracle was being ready. The room fell silent, but not everyone appreciated her clarity. Behind the scenes, military brass had started worrying. Erica's fame was becoming bigger than her rank. Public interest in her was snowballing, and with it came media pressure, public scrutiny, and political exploitation. One defense official quietly recommended transferring her to a non-combat role for security reasons. Erica declined. Instead, she volunteered for another tour. I'm not finished, she told her commanding officer. There's still work to be done. He gave her a long look. You understand that after what you've done, we'll never be able to deploy you without someone somewhere recognizing you. That makes you a target. I've always been a target, she said. The only difference now is, they know. I shoot back. Before her deployment, she returned briefly to Montana. The mountains hadn't changed, quiet, vast, untouched. Her father met her on the porch, coffee in hand, sane, grizzled expression. You broke the world open, he said. She smiled faintly. It didn't break. It just woke up. They walked the old trails where she once shot squirrels from branches as a child. And somewhere deep in the woods, She buried the spent casing from the 3,560-meter shot. No marker. No monument. It was never about the bullet, she whispered. It was about the burden. Back at her unit, she trained twice as hard. This time, not just for herself, but for the ones coming up behind her. She created new sniper protocols, taught female recruits how to manage field pressure, and revised outdated training manuals. She didn't speak to the press, but her actions spoke louder. They called her the silent trigger. And yet, she knew something deeper was unfolding. She wasn't just fighting on foreign soil anymore. She was fighting in hearts and minds, redefining what leadership, courage, and discipline looked like in uniform. Fame might have found her, but legacy? She was building that shot by shot. It started with a mural. One morning in Kabul, Erica Lane walked past a concrete wall painted with her silhouette, rifle in hand, eyes locked through a scope, her hair braided under her helmet. Beneath it was a phrase in local Pashto. She sees from afar, but stands close. The mural wasn't official. No press, no signature. Just a message from someone, maybe a civilian, maybe a soldier, maybe a woman hiding behind walls of war, who had seen something more than just a record breaking. Sniper. They'd seen a protector, and that image kept spreading. In the markets of Kandahar, vendors sold bootleg posters of her in uniform. Girls traced her picture into their school notebooks. Local militia groups circulated her photo in warning slides. A ghost to fear. One commander in a rural province even claimed she had eyes like drones. Back in the U.S., debates were raging. Was she a hero or a dangerous icon? Pundits fought over her story on primetime panels. Some called her a model of modern womanhood. Precise, disciplined, fearless. Others said her fame glorified violence. Feminist scholars dissected her legacy. Tactical forums analyzed her breathing techniques like scripture. Politicians lined up to claim her as their own. But through it all, Erica remained where she had always been, in the shadows, on the move, in service. She didn't give speeches. She didn't tweet. She didn't write memoirs. Her focus stayed on the next mission, the next recruit, the next shot that would never make headlines. One night, while returning from a recon op near the Pakistan border, Erica's convoy hit a makeshift explosive buried in the roadside. The blast lifted the Humvee 5 feet into the air. Metal screamed. Fire bloomed. 2 soldiers were critically injured. Erica, dazed but conscious, pulled both of them from the wreckage, tied their tourniquets, and laid suppressive fire while waiting for evac. She took a piece of shrapnel in her left shoulder, didn't even report it until they returned to base. A young medic named Ortiz asked her later, "Why didn't you say anything?" "You could have bled out." She looked at him calmly. They were bleeding worse. He didn't forget that. Neither did the brass. They nominated her for another medal, the Distinguished Service Cross, but she turned it down. "Put the money into the wounded soldiers' rehab," she told them. "They're the reason I'm still here." As her influence grew beyond borders, new opportunities arose. NATO sent a private envoy asking her to speak to their sniper command teams in Germany. She agreed, but not as a celebrity. As a teacher. Her lecture was quiet, sharp, and surgical. "No shot matters," she said, "if the mission isn't clear. Your bullet doesn't just travel distance. It carries weight, political, moral, and human. If you don't respect that, you shouldn't. Carry a rifle." Afterward, a British SAS sniper said it was the first time he'd heard someone talk about lethality with humility. Back home, cultural shifts were quietly taking root. Military training academies added excerpts from her field logs into their curriculum. Sniper school instructors started quoting her decision-making frameworks. And a surprising trend began. an increase in young women applying for elite marksmanship and scout roles. When asked why, most of them answered the same way. If Erica Lane can do it, maybe I can too. But Erica didn't see herself as a trailblazer. One night, after another grueling training op, Cole sat across from her at the base's dusty fire pit. You ever think about how much things have changed because of that shot? She didn't. Look up. Change doesn't come from one bullet, he grinned. No, but that one moved the target. Erica's thoughts wandered. She remembered the weight of the rifle, the perfect stillness, the breath she had held, and the firestorm that came after. I didn't want to be a symbol, she finally said. I just wanted to be useful. Cole nodded. And you were. You still are. But maybe being useful to others means more now. She turned to the fire, watching the sparks drift into the dark. For the first time in months, her expression softened. There was a knock on her door the next morning, a handwritten letter, delivered by a young private. No return address. Inside was a message written in halting English, clearly by a child. Because of you, I want to protect, not hide. My mother says you are danger, but I think you are shield. Thank you for showing. U.S. we can look forward. I hope to be brave like you. It was signed simply Layla, age 12, Kabul. Erica read it twice. Then she tucked it into the inner pocket of her fatigues, the same one she kept her range card in. That day, she walked into the sniper training compound and rewrote the day's drill schedule. No shooting. Just a lesson. On restraint, on decision-making, on the space between pulling the trigger and deciding not to. Because Erica Lane wasn't just the woman who made the impossible shot. She was the woman who understood its cost and taught others to carry it with purpose. The war didn't end. Not in the desert, not in the valleys, and certainly not in Erica Lane's mind. But something changed. It wasn't a ceasefire. It was clarity. Erica had spent years in the field, training elite snipers, rewriting doctrine, and pushing through the fog of politics and military red tape. She had survived IEDs, ambushes, and the crushing weight of public expectation. Her name had become legend. But legends, she realized, have limits. People didn't want the full truth. Just the headline, the shot, the glory. So she made a choice. She resigned. Honorably, quietly. No press conference. No parade. She left behind her uniform, her rank, and the world that had both defined and nearly consumed her. She didn't vanish. She simply stepped off the battlefield to reclaim something she hadn't touched in years. Peace. But peace didn't come quickly. She returned to Montana, to the same mountains where she'd first learned how to breathe with the wind. She built a small log cabin near a frozen lake. No electricity, no phone. Just silence, birdsong, and the sharpness of winter. Air. But even silence speaks. Veterans began writing her. Not just snipers, medics, engineers, infantry grunts. They didn't want advice. They wanted to be heard. Many confessed nightmares. Some felt guilt, others anger. A few admitted they were close to breaking. And Erica, now free of command, chains and titles, finally had the space to do something she hadn't done in a long time. Listen. She responded to every letter. Handwritten, patient, honest. She didn't preach. She didn't instruct. She just told her truth. The fear, the doubt, the weight of surviving. A few months later, a former ranger named Ellis visited her cabin. He sat on her porch in silence for 20 minutes before finally saying, "You stopped me from ending it. Just thought you should know." She nodded. No words were needed. They watched the sun set together without another sound. That's when she knew. The real mission had only just begun. Erica founded the Farsight Project, a non-profit focused on healing through precision. not shooting, but living with intention. She built a retreat for veterans in the Montana wilderness where the focus wasn't on rifles, but on recalibrating life. Workshops included archery, deep breath focus training, writing therapy, even falconry. Each activity required patience, clarity, and restraint, the same principles she had once applied through a sniper's scope. And it worked. Dozens came, in hundreds. Some broken, some angry, some lost. Many left changed, not cured, but finally seen. One wrote in the retreats, "Guestbook, I aimed at death. She showed me how to aim at life again." Meanwhile, the world kept turning. Erica's shot remained the longest confirmed sniper kill by a woman. Tactical schools studied it endlessly. Commanders debated it. But Erica had stopped responding to interview requests long ago. One day, a journalist from a major U.S. magazine sent a young writer to her cabin, hoping to capture her final thoughts for a decade anniversary feature. He found her chopping wood in flannel and boots. "Ms. Lane," he asked nervously, "do you think that shot defined your life?" She paused, balanced the axe against her shoulder, and said, "No, that shot showed the world what I could do. But what I do now, this shows who I am." The story ran. The headline read, "The woman who could kill from 2 miles away now teaches men how to heal." Some critics called it soft, but others called it brave. Years passed. The war changed faces. Erica stayed in Montana, but one spring a letter arrived, scrawled in a childish hand. It was from Layla, a girl from Kabul who had once called Erica a shield. Now 19, Layla had earned a scholarship to study international law. She had become a voice for displaced girls in war zones. She ended her letter with, "Because of you, I learned to look forward and to fight without a gun." Erica cried when she read it. That night, she walked alone to the edge of the lake, stars above, pine shadows around. The cold seeped through her boots, but she didn't move. She simply stood still, the same way she had stood that day before the impossible shot. But this time, there was no rifle, no target, no enemy, only reflection. She had trained her body to still its breath, her hands to stop shaking, her mind to silence doubt. But now she trained others to breathe freely, to move with intention, to embrace uncertainty. Instead of fighting it, in a locked drawer of her cabin sat the actual bullet casing from that 3,560-meter shot. She never showed it to anyone. One day, she hiked to the top of a peak, dug a shallow hole in the snow, and buried it, not out of shame, but completion. That shot had been a chapter, a beautiful, brutal, necessary one. But not the whole story. Erica Lane was no longer just the sniper who did the impossible. She was a teacher, a mentor, a witness, a woman who had stared down death and then chose to teach life. And so, as morning broke and the light spilled across the mountains she once called training grounds, now home, Erica Lane stood not in legend, but in legacy, because she had learned what defines you isn't how far you can shoot. It's how deeply you can see.